Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wrestling Nerdcast on the Angry Marks Podcast Network with your host, Will Huckaby and Mika Villas.
Welcome once again. It's that time of the week. It's that time of the day. It's time for the Wrestling Nerdcast. As usual, this is a fan-based or fan, I don't know, what's the word? Fan subscribed, fan, I don't know.
Fan supported.
There you go. Fan supported podcast brought to you every week on the Angry Marks Podcast Wrestling Network. Huge shout out to our Patreons. Want to give a big, huge shout out to our friend David Cook up there in New York. What's up, Dave? As usual, this show would not be possible without our friends at Indie Customs. Indie Customs, check them out on Facebook, check them out on Twitter for all their wrestling and non-wrestling merchandise needs. While you're there, checking out Indie Customs, be sure to order some stuff not only from this podcast, but from, other wrestling luminaries such as the Gymnasty Boys, who, from what I've been told, will be making their return to Canada, the Lethal Lovers, Mr. Sleeves, The Hierarchy, TJ Boss, etc., etc. Once you get done ordering some really cool merchandise and wrestling merch, be sure to say what's up to our friends at Pro Wrestling World for all of your wrestling gossip and info of who's doing what and where and why. And be sure to, you can link up with other wrestling fans, not only in the United States, but around the world and see what they're talking about, see who they like, etc., etc. And then after you do all of that, and you've done all of your wrestling stuff, be sure to check out our producer, CW's company, Behavior Driven, if you want, T-shirts or graphics printed up, if you want, posters, etc., etc. If you need some IT work done, our friends over there, Behavior Driven, namely our producer, CW Smith, can help you out. He is the man, and trust and believe, he doesn't sleep. As usual, I'm your host, the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion, the World Wrestling Grand Prix Champion, the disrespectful intellectual, the Southern gentleman. I'm a national treasure and a reality TV star. I'm the Morning Star. I'm the Incredible Huck, Will Huckaby. And as usual, I'm joined by my co-host. She is one half of the world's cutest commentary team. You can check her out not only at Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment and Mucha Lucha Atlanta, but other wrestling companies up and down the East Coast. She is Chicago Wind. She is the lover of waffles, the voice of the speech impediment, the receiver and lover of all things unsolicited. She is Mrs. Hashtag What That Mouth Do, the Adonis of affection, Mika Villas. What's up, Mika?
Oh my God, you threw that speech impediment thing back in there. Thought you forgot about that one. Wow.
Oh, no, of course not. Of course not. Especially after this past weekend. We were both in Atlanta, Georgia at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. 2 great days of wrestling brought to you by Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. I had 2 great matches. The first one was myself versus Aaron Epic, and the second one was myself and Solid Cross versus Adrian Armour and Blacklist Uno representing the Hierarchy. And you were there both days doing commentary. I saw you. Your lips were moving. You was all wild and gestury and stuff. What was your take on the entire, gaming expo?
We absolutely love being at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo. If you're in Atlanta next year, about this time, sometime in the, first, second week of June, every video game imaginable, and we threw in wrestling. We had for night 1 the Red Wedding on tap. Su Young was nuptials with our friend Sugar Dunkerton. Night 2 was just an all-out craziness, the fallout, I would guess you would say, partially from the Red Wedding. It's an adult but a children family-friendly atmosphere, so you could drink your beer, but your child was safe and could come in and play video games, watch wrestling.
I would tell you what, there was a lot of kids at the shows and stuff, Friday and Saturday. And I know, Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment gets the reputation of not being very family-friendly. That's not a place you want to bring your kids, but there's always been children at all of the events. But it was really cool to see. There was 30 to 40. It was, about 70%, 70-30 adults to children. There was a lot of kids and stuff in the crowd. I think they had a great time. Friday night was packed, but Saturday night was Jesus Christ. I would say, how many people did you say?
They were turning people away literally at the door Saturday night. It was standing room only at a certain point. I believe the max capacity for that room was about 300 people, and literally one in, one out. If somebody left, they would let somebody else in, but you could not get into the room. They had people guarding the doors because we were packing them in and people were enjoying all the wrestling that Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment had to offer.
They definitely had, well, they were guarding the doors, but they had the doors open. And there was, like, I seen people standing out in the aisles and standing in the other areas of the gaming room, like the room where they had all the pinballs. There was a crowd of people standing in front of that door. They couldn't get in, but they were just peeping in and stuff, standing there. It was a great great time. Friday night, it was supposed to be the wedding. The bride didn't show up. I don't know why.
Spoiler alert. I mean, for anybody who maybe was waiting to see what happened. Oh, well, the deal is the hierarchy, Black Liz Uno and the returning princess of the hierarchy, Kimberly, along with the rest of the hierarchy, they apparently did something to the bride. Soo Young did not make her wedding. They apparently attacked her and made her incapacitated where she could not walk, glide, or kill down the aisle Friday night. And that left Sugar Dunkerton and his best man, Chris Maine, alone, having to literally battle their way through the hierarchy that evening, dressed in their finest red wedding attire.
I tell you what, that suit that Suge D had on, I wish it came in my size because I definitely would rock that. I tell you what, speaking and something correlated to that is that Saturday night during my tag team match, it was me and Solid Cross versus the hierarchy. Slade Porter was ringside and was causing a ruckus and stuff. And out of nowhere, Sugar D like beelines into the building and just jumps on Slade Porter and beating him through the back. Like I did not see that coming. I was like, oh shit. Like, when the hell did Sugar D get here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought he had already left. I didn't know that he was going to be back in town. Like, it was ridiculous. Definitely got the crowd on their feet and stuff, but it was a good show. We got to play, my favorite thing, I guess, besides the wrestling, was playing the video games. And they had, Tekken and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And the craziest thing about it was that they had all of the Japanese arcade versions of these games and stuff. Soul Calibur, Tekken 2, Mortal Kombat. Like they had the Japanese version. So you really had to know how to play. But the bad thing was, especially with like Tekken and with Soul Calibur and Soul Blade, there were a lot of characters up there that I had no idea who they were. And then some of the controls, was it just me or did some of the controls in those video games not work? Do you like what you hear? Do you like hearing me and Mika go back and forth between ourselves and talking to some amazing guests from around the world of pro wrestling? Well, then be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/The Wrestling Nerdcast. Donate everything from $7 and up. And as your donations go up, so do the prize packages. Everything from a follow on social media to joining our exclusive Wrestling Nerdcast Facebook group to being able to book your own podcast with a guest of your choice within reason, people. Because trust and believe, we're not getting Stone Cold or AJ Styles on this podcast. But once again, if you like us, please support us and spread the word. Thank you. Talk to you later.
It was just you. You don't know how to play, pretty much. I watched you play, and you're a button pusher. You push my buttons in daily general life, and apparently the same goes for video games. You just start hitting all the wrong buttons. So, yeah, that was operator error.
I will admit, you kicked my ass in Mortal Kombat. I will admit that. You kicked my ass in Mortal Kombat. But I'm an avid. And then when I was a kid, I was an avid Soul Calibur and Soul Blade player and Tekken. And there were a lot of characters. And you know, the person I was playing with, I'm not going to mention his name, but the person I was playing with, even he had a difficult time playing because it was the Japanese version. And like the kick buttons were very funny and stuff. Like the kick buttons didn't work. I didn't understand. But still had
anybody who ever has played video games, and we're talking about the arcade cabinet, Will is giving the classic excuse for those guys who get their ass whooped and have to keep putting quarters in there. Oh, these buttons don't work. I don't know my character. Blah 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 blah.
You know what?
Fact of the matter is, I beat all y'all asses, and I have these claws going on. I was drinking.
First of all,
I was drinking, so I was inebriated. I've got these long nails on, big enough to scratch people's back like a katana, and I still whooped ass.
First of all, I admitted that you beat me fair and square in Mortal Kombat. I'm just saying on games that I know I'm great at that I played as a child in the arcade. Like it was weird because it was the Japanese version, and B, like the buttons were not working. Like the kick buttons and stuff were not working.
Do we have a a sound bite of like a baby crying. We need that after he speaks. Just where?
You know what? Anyway, ain't nobody paying attention to you. Nobody is paying attention to you. I will say though, on Saturday night, I will say that I reclaimed my throne as king of the punch machine. I had set the record with both my left and right hand Friday night, and then I guess Saturday somebody came and broke my record, and then I went back after the show while waiting to get pizza and stuff. Went back, hit it the first time, broke the record again. So when it comes to the Certified Gaming Expo, I am the champion when it comes to punching machine.
I will give you that. I saw the video of you beating on that poor punching bag, and that you beat out James D. Drake. I mean, he chopped it, you chopped it, you beat him. So that, I don't know if he was pulling his punches, maybe.
Oh, really? He was pulling.
Pretty much.
No, he did not pull his punches. I just hit harder than James Drake does, and now I have video proof that I hit harder than James Drake.
I want to see it in a match. I want the two of you to have a chop off in the ring. Let's see what
happens. You know what happens is that usually in a match or whatever, people take the first one from me, and the first one is usually so hard or whatever that they start, covering up, or they start like rolling their shoulders so they don't get the full effect, and the chop doesn't have the same amount of emphasis. With James Drake, I think it's just we have differences in how we chop. He does the Japanese style where he goes all the way across the chest. Well, myself, I go right there, wherever's closest to me, I hit that. Where he goes across the chest, hits you almost in the throat, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it doesn't matter. I still hit harder.
Again, I just need to see it. I mean, pretty much, I think he can whoop your ass. So I'd like to see that match. Somebody book that.
Wow. Yeah, somebody booked me versus James Drake. Yes. I doubt that would ever happen, but yes, somebody needs to book me versus James Drake. That would be badass.
Put it in the atmosphere, man. For one of those titles of yours, he needs some gold.
No, he doesn't. He already has some. He's the West Virginia Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Champion.
He doesn't
need any more. He doesn't deserve any more. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I was fortunate enough to crash at Mika Villas's estate. I got to crash at the Villas Villa.
Manor. The Villas Villa, yeah.
The Villas Villa, and drank all of her caffeinated drinks.
All my soda's gone.
Used up her Wi-Fi like it was nobody's business.
Yeah.
Got to watch some really great New Japan Pro Wrestling after wrestling and stuff. Woke up at 3 o'clock to make, or 2, yeah, it was like 3 o'clock. Woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. Fell asleep. I'm so mad. I fell asleep right before the Jericho Naito match. But then I was able to watch it, later on that day. Have you watched any of it yet, Mika?
I have been rocking and rolling since. I've only seen the clips. It looked amazing. I am going to have to get back to it this week. It's a huge, crazy, busy week for me. I'm working on some more wrestling related stuff, so not yet, but I am going to get to it.
Well, I will tell you what, this must be the weekend. This had to be the weekend of new champions, because Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment has a new champion. Joe Black defeated Chip Day, and what was my opinion, was definitely the match of the weekend. As far as Certified Gaming Expo goes, like that was definitely the match of the weekend. Joe Black basically shut down the Certified Gaming Expo by coming out as I guess cosplaying. Is that what you young kids call it now? Cosplaying?
You can call it cosplaying, but his attire was bomb.com. Joseph Black came out at the Southern Fried Gaming Expo as one of the immortal characters in Mortal Kombat.
Iconic.
Immortal as well, because he never dies. Sub-Zero. And like in the video game, Sub-Zero win.
Like, I would tell you what, he the pop that he got when he came out of Sub-Zero, first of all, his custom interest music for it was just badass. And Joe is starting to get a reputation for, having some really great entrances. A la, the Undertaker or Triple H or whatever. Like, his entrances, especially for big time matches, are always badass. But he basically, in my opinion, shut down the Certified Gaming Expo, because when he came out as Sub-Zero, like, the crowd went bananas. But he's the new AWE Georgia Wrestling Crown Champion. The Young Bucks, as far as New Japan goes, the Young Bucks are now the new IWGP Heavyweight Champions. Takahashi is the new. He beat Will Ospreay. He is the new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. Chris Jericho, surprise, surprise, beat Naito for the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. I don't know. Can we add his New Japan Intercontinental Championship to his WWE Championship?
We
is that how that works?
Can. It is an Intercontinental title. He has been Intercontinental Champion for 10 times, my producer is saying here. So, yes, Jericho is a 10-time World Intercontinental Champion, combining his WWE, WWF, and now New Japan Intercontinental title reign. And
then most of all, the big one that everybody's talking about is Kenny Omega defeated Okada in a 64-minute match for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. I know you haven't seen it yet, Mika. I'm just go ahead and give you my opinion. It was a good match. It was probably the best match on the show, hands down. But was it better than the 3 previous matches? I don't think so, because I think that the bar was set way too high. I think that they really made a mistake last year at Wrestle Kingdom when they had what Dave Meltzer calls a 6-star match. Like, they really set the bar a little too high.
You're not supposed to set the bar low. You got to go high.
No, but I think because the bar was set so high, the anticipation was like, oh, this is about to be the greatest match ever. And don't get me wrong, it was a really, really good match. But I think because we've already seen their greatest hits and we've seen them do so many reckless things with their bodies and with each other that they didn't really do in this match, I think that it kind of took away from it. I think that if they wouldn't have done that ridiculous table spot at Wrestle Kingdom last year, or did that tiger suplex from the top rope, a lot of the one-wing angel on the table on the outside, we wouldn't have done all those wild, crazy spots and stuff. And they wouldn't have already went 60 minutes, a 60-minute draw. This match would have been great. But I will say that, in my opinion, this is probably the rivalry of the year. This is definitely the feud of the year. And that match is definitely, there's nothing in WWE that's going to top that match. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If you think AJ Styles and Nakamura is going to top Kenny Omega versus Okada, you are wrong. Probably the only match that will top that is Ishimori versus Takahashi. That match may be the only match that will top that. Oh, almost forgot. Michael Elgin is the new New Japan Never Openweight Champion as well. How did I almost forget that?
I don't know. Maybe you want to shout at the title, you were disrespecting him or something. I don't know.
I will tell you what.
You trying to get heat with Michael Elgin?
I will tell you what. Out of all the titles in New Japan, I think that's the one that I would want the most, because that's the I'm a man title. Like, this is like, this title right here is for guys who just want to slug it out. And if you're not a tough guy, if you're not a legit tough guy, like, they're not going to put that title on you, which, really makes me happy. But that's about it as far as New Japan goes. So what else do you want to talk about right now, Mika? Anything else that from this weekend that you're thinking about or you want to bring up?
Well, I will touch base on New Japan. I said it before that the Okada Omega match, that it would be something special, but again, we had seen them do so much already that it would have to take a miracle for the two of them to pull some new rabbits, so to speak, out of the hat. So, as you're saying, the bar was set high. It was hard for them to come back from all the other ridiculous, crazy stuff they said. Our producer, CW, said, hey, it became repetitive. To see Okada, Omega, Okada, Omega, Okada, Omega, there's only so much you can do with the same person. Again, like you said, the matches were fantastic, but the matches can't stand alone because we kept seeing them so consistently that it takes away from the magic that they did.
I will also say this as well. Can you hear me, Mika?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I will also say this. Kudos to New Japan, because this was a hot rivalry, and they could have done it show back to back to back to back. So, don't get me wrong. This is 4 matches in a year and a half, which by wrestling standards is a long time. I just think that their matches were each match was so iconic, or each of the 3 previous matches were so iconic for a different reason. Then when you got to this match, it was, okay, are you guys going to push it even further, or is this going to be a best of match? And to me, it kind of came across as this is a best of. Like, this is the best of the previous 3 matches that we've done. We saw the Tombstone. We saw the One Wing Angel. We saw, the Rainmaker. We saw the dives and stuff, this was this match, we're going to hit all of our best hits. And also, I think the problem is the fact that because they knew that they were going to go so long, the pacing of it was kind of hit and miss. It started off very slow. There was a lot of resting. There was a lot of them just kind of laying around and stuff. Because they knew that they were going to go over 60 minutes. In my opinion, I think if they're going to have a best of 2 out of 3 falls match, because it took 30 minutes. I'm spoiled. I'm ruining the whole match for everybody, but you still need to watch this match because it was a really good match. Don't get me wrong. The first match was over 30 minutes before the first fall. I'm of the opinion in a 2 out of 3 falls match, just me with my little meager wrestling experience. If you're going to do a 2 out of 3 falls match, either the first 2 falls happens very, very quick, and then you take forever with the third fall, or you wait till the last 5 minutes, time limit remaining, and you do all 3 falls just that fast. But because they had no time limit, I think they should have done the first 2 falls within 3 minutes and then stretched out the third fall.
You think about it, it's different because you're expecting one of those 2 classic formulas, but they went against the mold. It's different. You got to give them that.
They basically had 3 30-minute matches for the most part, or 3. They had a 30-minute match and then 2 20-minute matches, basically, or something to that effect. Or 2 15-minute matches. Like I said, it was just the pacing, but they are both way better than I am. I've never worked in New Japan, so I can't say that what they did was wrong, because obviously they're not, because they had over 12,000 people there. So
it's okay. One day you'll draw 12,000. I don't know how. Maybe on a piece of paper with a pen. Speaking of drawing a crowd, let's talk about really quick Money in the Bank this Sunday.
Oh, Jesus.
Tickets still on sale there, people.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because everybody spent their money trying to be all in.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. What match are you really looking forward to from Money in the Bank?
None of them. Not a damn one.
There's one match I'm looking forward to, and that's only because of
AJ and Nakamura. You're looking for
not even.
Okay.
No, because I know that WWE is going to bastardize the shit out of that match. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens with the female Money in the Bank match. Mainly because, and the only reason why I like that is because I want to know what's going to happen with Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey.
What's your prediction? You got something in mind? You think something's going to happen? You got a prediction?
My prediction is Nia Jax goes over on Ronda Rousey. I think that Alexa Bliss wins the women's Money in the Bank match, and she cashes it in Sunday night against whoever wins the Nia Jax Ronda Rousey fight.
And you're pulling for Nia. You're saying Nia's going to win that match.
I'm pulling for Nia going to win that match, and I'm pulling that Alexa Bliss is going to cash in right then and get her title back.
I'm going to go along with you that there will be a cash-in that night from the women's side, but the cash-in will be on Ronda Rousey. That Ronda Rousey will defeat Nia Jax in her first ever singles match to become the WWE Raw Women's Champion, and the woman, whoever wins the ladder match, and again, I don't know who that would be. It's likely going to be Bliss or Banks, but that woman will cash in then on Ronda Rousey.
Who are the 4 women from Raw? You have Alexa Bliss, Sasha Banks, Natalya, and Ember Moon.
Correct.
And so I already know they're not going to put the title on Ember Moon or Natalya, unfortunately.
Okay. But they're working with the Natalya angle, and Natalya being Ronda's best friend and what have you.
Yes.
They're working that.
So you think we'll have Natalya versus Ronda Rousey?
Yes.
And Natalya
losing.
Oh, you know what? No. If Ronda wins, then I would like for Natalya to win and then cash in, because I don't like Natalya as a babyface. Period. I like her as the cocky, arrogant heel where she's like, I'm a part of the Hart Dynasty. My uncle and my father are better than your father, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I like that. I like that, Natalya. I don't like, hey, this is my best friend, Ronda. Oh, God, so cheesy. I hate it so much. There's some people who should never be baby faces. Natalya is one of them. The Fox chick with the last name Fox? What's her last name? What's her name?
Alicia Fox.
Alicia Fox should never be a baby face. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some people who are just born to be heels. Alexa Bliss should never be a baby face. Carmella should never be a baby face. Like, those are just people who have that natural heel tendency.
I like that. I will agree they do have natural heel tendencies and they should not be baby faces. But yeah, I'm not interested in this pay-per-view at all. I'm not even sure if I'm going to watch it. But, you know, it's available on the WWE Network for $9.99 for those, you know, who want to watch it. For new subscribers, it's free. Vince, cut me a check. Yeah.
I mean, because as far as the men's ladder Money in the Bank match goes, like, once again, they're probably going to shit one. I don't know. They might give it to Braun Strowman just because I've heard rumors that Brock Lesnar's contract is up in, like, July, I think.
Brock resigned. So.
Oh, did he resign?
Yes. If he's doing anything, he's going to do some UFC and WWE stuff because he is smart enough to negotiate his contract correctly.
Well, I mean, if Brock still has resigned, there's no way they're going to put Braun Strowman. They're going to give Braun Strowman the Money in the Bank. Like, it's just not going to happen, which is a damn travesty. But, you know, it's neither here nor there. If it's not going to be Braun Strowman, put it on Bobby Roode at least. Jesus Christ, people. Like, give it to Bobby Roode.
They won't, but we can hope.
Yeah. Well, speaking of hope, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest, we hope that you're going to enjoy him, and we'll be right back with him. And, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. If you can hear this background noise behind me, then you know that our guest is on the line. We're very lucky to have him. Some people call him he calls himself the Barefoot Badass. If you was at a Syndicate Pro Wrestling show in the past month, you would know that he is also the Barefoot Baby Killer. He's a former AIWF World Cruiserweight Champion. You catch him not only can you catch him in Georgia, but you can catch him in states such as Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He just also, along with myself, made a kick-ass appearance. Got a standing ovation at the last IWA Mid-South tryout. And he is a brand new father of a baby with the most kick-ass, badass name of all times, which is the only reason why he is on this show. That and along the fact that I love his wife very much. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest, Matt Gilbert.
The bow is definitely being taken figuratively.
Yeah, no, don't take a bow because, like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I like your significant other or the fact that you can that name, I wouldn't even talk to you anymore.
Well, you know, sometimes whenever you dive out on the kids, that tends to happen.
Yeah, man, you're just so unfamily friendly. First of all, because I've said it twice already, you're a new father. Of course, you have a couple of other kids. You know, like myself, you know, you prefer to have your kids in groups and bunches and stuff. We both have way more than one child apiece. But you just had a little boy. What's his name? What did you decide to name?
His name is Leonidas Jesse Gilbert. I've always been fascinated in lore and Greek mythology, and I was the Battle of Thermopylae was one of the most famous battles of all time, and of course King Leonidas led his band of, it was more than 300, but as the story goes, it was 300 Spartans and a ragtag group of Greek mercenaries, and they faced off against Xerxes and his million-man army of the Persians. So I fell in love with that story, and of course his middle name is a tribute to my brother, his uncle, who passed away last October. So it was weird. Jesse passed, and then 6 months later, Leonidas was born. So
now, let me ask you a question. How much convincing did you have to do to your wife to say, "Hey, baby, I want to name our son Leonidas. Because, I might have mentioned that name a couple of times to like my wife and stuff. Like, if we have another child, can I name him like Leonidas? And she gave me the most effed up look ever. That she was like, no, definitely not. How much convincing did it take for you to say, hey, baby, we're going to name our son Leonidas?
It was really a joint agreement. When I mentioned it, her eyes lit up, and the one name that scared me was throwing Jesse in there. I didn't know if she would want her family or anything to be a part of his name. One of my kids, my oldest daughter of the first litter, her name is Ashley Erin Elizabeth Nicole because we couldn't figure out a name, So I was willing to give him multiple names if need be, you know what I mean?
Ladies and gentlemen, notice how you said his first litter. That's right. Like, he multiplies like rabbits, man. Like, how many kids do you have altogether?
Leo makes my 7th.
Yeah, so for everybody out there talking bad about me having 5 kids or whatever, he has 7, okay, which is 2 more than me. But somebody
I'm like 10 years younger than you too, right?
I don't know if I could talk to him. We might get pregnant talking to him. Hold on.
It's scary. It's scary. I warn all the females in the business, if I shake their hands, they better take a pregnancy test.
Well, I'll tell you right now. I'm about to pass it over to my associate, who is somebody that should never have kids, should never procreate. So whenever you see her, Matt, do not shake her hand, because the world can't handle more than one of her. Mika, what do you have for our guest tonight?
I'm taking a plan B right now as I speak, just to be on the safe side, because this man's got 7 kids. Holy hell. No, seriously, that's cool. That's a great story about your newest little one, the names. That means a lot. Your favorite mythology and a tribute to family. That's cool. That's sweet. But I want to get a little, I feel dirty with you here, Mr. Gilbert, so bear with me. Barefoot badass. You walk around wrestling rings and arenas barefoot. That along, you and Matt Ring, pictures, because that is just disgusting. Why barefoot? Please, tell me. Why are you not wearing shoes? What is wrong?
Well, there's 2 stories. There's the gimmick story and there's the shoe story. I can tell either one. The gimmick story, and ever since I was a kid, I was being trained in martial arts rather than wearing the traditional gi and the lightweight shoes that they wear. I would much rather do it barefoot, because kicking a man across the face feels really good whenever you can kick him flesh to flesh, as opposed to having some type of barrier between the two. Now, shoot, I was wearing boots my first year. I did a pretty crazy dive, and whenever I landed on my ankle, and they had to cut my boots off. And it was my first pair of boots. I don't even remember what exactly happened to them. It's been so many years. But they had to cut them off. I was on crutches for like 6 weeks. I'd been in the business maybe 8 months at the time. I was on crutches for 6 weeks, and when I came back, I wasn't going to get in there with my Nikes, So I asked around. Nobody had any boots that was my size, because I'm a midget. and I ended up doing I taped my ankles that night, my first night, and it's been the same way ever since. I like the way my toes can grip the mat, and if I hit the ropes, I like the way that I feel I can grip the ropes with my toes like a monkey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Has there been anybody who's faced off with you and like, hey dude, please, can you put the shoes on? Do people ask you like weird stuff like, can you wash your feet first? I mean, anybody have any like issues and kind of like, hey, this toe thing not gonna work for me?
The funniest thing, I've not had that so much. I don't know if they said it and I did it anyway just to prove a point, or if I just don't remember. Over the years, running across too many guys with a phobia against feet, I have, however, ran across a bunch of guys with a foot fetish that was like really weird. Like, whoa. You kick them in the face. Yeah, you kick a man in the face with bare foot, and he kind of looks at you like, like,
wow.
You know what I mean? It stops you in your tracks. Basically a cutoff.
I'm done. You won. I'm out of here.
Right.
Oh my gosh. All right. And I'm so intrigued by this whole foot thing. No fetish, just I walk around my house barefoot, but I can't imagine. I've walked around like arenas in socks and like, oh ew, this is disgusting. So, and again, it's such a, again, you and Riddle are the only people I can think of. There's other people, but like that I've seen consistently all the time, especially here in the Southeast, that are running around here barefoot. And as a girl, I have to ask these girly questions, at least until, I get into my ace reporter mode. Do you get pedicures, and how often?
No, I've never had a stone bruise. It's weird. I've been locked up in the past. I've got a CD pass. But I was locked up, and I'd work out barefoot in the dorm rooms, and people were like, "Man, you're gonna get foot rot and all this crap." And I've never got that stuff. I don't have callus on my feet. My feet it's the weirdest thing. You would think a barefoot, athlete would, if you consider professional wrestling athletes, I do. But a barefoot athlete, you would think that they would have like really thick callus on the outsides of their big toe and on the heel and all that, right? Not me. It's baby-like. It's the weirdest damn thing. They're muscular even.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. You would not think that I would have like no callus whatsoever on my feet, not even on the big toes. Like that's where everybody gets calluses on their feet, of their big toe, like right on the outer edge. And I've never had it. It's the weirdest damn thing. So I'm lucky in that respect. And athlete's foot is afraid of me. I'm immune. So you know what I mean? I've been really lucky in over the years. Never had anything like the worst thing I had. I went to kick Corey Hollis in the face, and he moved, and I kicked the turnbuckle post on the outside, right, and broke what would be the second toe from the big toe. Broke that sucker right down the middle, and I reached down, and I looked at it, and I popped it back into place and just kept going. But that's not the worst thing that ever happened. You know what I mean? it hurt there for a while.
Damn Corey Hollis for moving. He could have stayed his little butt in place. But okay. Speaking of moving and little butts and athletes, well, he's not an athlete, but he is a wrestler. I will turn you back over to my partner in crime, who is, again, not an athlete. I want to stress. Most wrestlers are. He is not Will Huckaby.
Well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Wrestling Nerdcast, brought to you on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. Huge shout out to our sponsors at Indie Customs, also our friends of that Pro Wrestling World, and at Bad Decisions, or was it CW Decisions?
Behavioral driven.
Behavior driven. Yeah, whatever. As usual, once again, we're on the line with tonight's guest, the Barefoot Baby Killer, Matt Gilbert. Matt, now I want to talk to you because you mentioned it, and I was going to bring it up, and I wanted to make sure it was cool with you. But since you mentioned it, you said you had the CD pass, and professional wrestling. I've always said it, and I've said it, on this podcast, on other shows, and I've said it in public. Professional wrestling, while it's one of the greatest sports, if not the greatest sport of all time, and you meet a lot of really great people in this sport. It's full of some of the most shadiest, backwards, conniving, con artists, scamming ass fuckers of all time and stuff. What was you locked up for? If you don't mind us asking, what was you in trouble for?
In my town of Dalton, Georgia, back in 2001, it got ranked as the meth capital of the world at that time. This is before ICE hit real hard and started ruining lives in that respect. I was a young man, and I fell off into that habit, and over the years to afford my habit and my many women that was with me's habit, I turned to selling dope, and sold dope for a long time, along with wrestling. And now a lot of people say, oh man, a lot of 20-year vets have only wrestled like once a month. It was always, Thursday through Sunday for a long time back in, the late 90s and early 2000s. For a long time, it was Thursday through Sunday. Then it slowed down to Friday and Saturday with the occasional Sunday. You know what I mean? But all that time I did drugs, lots and lots of heavy drugs, and finally I caught the law's attention back in 2011, and they did some regulars on me. They had me just right, raided my place, and I mean they put so much money into getting me I guess they jumped the gun, because when they hit me, the only thing that I had was two pills. I had a Percocet and a Hydro. And they were so mad at me that they charged me with 2 separate felonies and sent my ass to prison for 1.5 years.
Now, let me. I'm asking you this. I asked you that because I'm asking you this and stuff. And I have a couple of questions, but I'm asking this one first.
Right.
When you got out and stuff, how hard was it to get back into the wrestling scene? And did you feel like there was a lot of guys that was willing to give you chances? Did you feel like, there was a lot of guys that didn't want to be associated with you because of your past? What was the situation like?
It was so weird. When I first came out, people were a little bit leery. And I mean, let's be honest, I had to win back the trust of my own parents. You know what I mean? Since that day, it was March 1st, 2012, I've been clean ever since. So this year I celebrated 6 years,
Yes.
But those first months to a year, people were really worried about me, because you know what I mean? Most people fresh out of the chain gang, hell, they come out of the chain gang and 6 months to a year later, they're right back in that game, And I was really lucky. My mom and dad didn't write me. They didn't send me no money. I didn't get, I didn't get no money put on my books. I didn't get no letters from anybody. The only letters that I got was from my ex at the time, and she wrote me about how she had fallen in love with a new guy every month. And this was the woman that I was with whenever I got locked up, so it was breaking my heart, And had I not had all that happen, had I had money on my books every week and mom and dad writing me saying, oh, it's going to be okay, you just come on home, we'll show them. If I had everybody, being by my side while I was locked up, I don't think I would have ever stepped away from the scene like I did. I came out and go ahead.
I'm about to say, because I've known you for a couple of years now, and it wasn't until recently that I knew that you even had some kind of past. And the reason why is because, when you're in the back, we laugh, especially me and you, we have that rapport, but you laugh and you joke with everybody. And with some guys, you can kind of get that feeling like, you might need to watch yourself around this person. Everything with them, it might not be what it seems like. But with you, you've always been straightforward and honest and stuff. Do you ever, take your history, and especially being a 20-year vet and stuff, and I can attest to the fact that even now, you're booked 3 to 4 days a week. Do you ever take those lessons that you learned when you was younger in this business and talk to a greenhorn and be like, hey, listen, kid, I see what you're doing. I know what you're doing. And if you don't stop, this is what's going to happen.
It's funny. There's a gentleman, poor guy just broke his leg, Brent Banner. I'm going to give this kid props. He's one of the most, his raw talent is, I don't see a limit for him. He's extremely good, looks like $1 million, carries himself very well. He was just real stupid with the way he was handling himself. And he's only been in the business a year, if that. And when I first met him, I was like, what are you doing? Come on, buddy. You know what I mean? You gotta tighten it up and present yourself in a professional manner, not act like an idiot. I mean, my biggest thing was treat this as a business, not as a hobby. If you want to say that you want to make it, you go out there and you work for it, And I beat it into his head, and the kid finally started breaking out, and then he just had an accident and broke his leg. But all props to him. He was getting out there. He had paid it forward because of all the times he rode with me and got booked. He messaged me out of the blue and was like, hey, brother, couple months down the line, are you booked in, I think it was somewhere it was Bristol, Virginia. And I told him, I was like, well, no. He goes, well, you're booked now with me. And told me the PO, which he had negotiated. I was extremely proud that he had listened and applied it in his own way and not did exactly what you know what I mean? Did exactly what I said, but in his own way, put his own twist to it. And there you go. You know what I'm saying? I'm a nobody, but at the same time, I've listened to very, very talented people that are a whole lot more successful than me, and I try to apply that myself and show everybody that I can possibly show, because I feel like my eyes have been opened, to this wild, this amazing aspect of the business to help guys like that, For years, it was always just about the match. I wanted to get to the next match. I wanted to, make that match absolutely amazing and scrap it and then go to the next match. You know what I'm saying? After that bell count, I really didn't care about the worker. You know what I'm saying? I loved the business, loved where I was going, loved what I was doing, but at the same time, I didn't care about the workers. Nowadays, it's so weird. I've done this for so long, and I'm only 36, but at the same time, I'm sitting here looking at all these guys like, man, if I can help him and I don't come off as a prick, if I don't come off as a prick, maybe he'll do just a little bit better than what he's doing right now.
Well, speaking of somebody who definitely comes off as a prick and can't help it, my co-host, Mika, she has a few more questions for you. And it's also funny because, you said you're 36 and Mika's 63, so y'all have a lot more in common than you thought.
Will's been hit a lot in the head. I say not enough because apparently he doesn't know the maths, but, that's okay. Hopefully we can get somebody to beat him in the head with a chair, a foot in his face, please, with a kick, and, I'll be a happy camper. That'd be awesome.
Right.
Speaking of kicking people, I've seen you here in the Southeast at just various promotions. Who are some of your favorite people to lay toes on? I was gonna say lay hands,
lay toes on.
Lay toes on.
Gosh, Menace wrestler. He is a. I believe he lives in Sevierville, Tennessee. Used to wrestle for CZW years ago. He wears like a Hayabusa mask. He's the Blackanese assassin. All the props in the world. I give a chop. I call it the thunderclap. I threw the person in the gut. I double-handed chopped them on their back. And everybody was telling me about Menace's chops before I worked him for the first time, before I ever faced off against him. And whenever I met him, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a blast, And so I decided the first time I was gonna the first chop thrown, I was gonna have him throw the chop on me. And when he did, I made the mistake of calling him a pussy, and he chopped me so hard the next time it was like chopping Doctor Strange. My soul left my body,
Gosh, damn.
Oh yeah. Chopped me into the astral plane. It was pretty awesome. And that's that guy right there. And Joe Black. I've got to give Joe Black mad props. He is absolutely amazing.
We don't put Joe over on this podcast.
Will not put Joe Black over. I will put Joe Black over all day because he scares me, but he's also good. Shut up, Will. Shut up, Will.
Put Joe Black over.
Can we mute Will's microphone, please? Thank you.
Will's mad because every time Joe and him are around, he's got to carry Joe's bag.
Oh, wow. World champs carrying other people's bags. You know what? This interview's over.
True. Well, they were a tag team, and tag teams usually produce talent. Joe's the talent, and Will is just, I don't know what, is not talented. That's all I can say. I got nothing. You were talking Joe Black. Is there anybody else?
Oh, gosh. Let me think. Joe, Menace. I haven't worked Will yet. Working with Will, I think, would be fun. He hits really hard. It's weird. There's this guy. He's an older guy, but in the scene around North Georgia, his name was Rick Justice. and he was one of the toughest dudes I'd ever faced. I'll never forget when I first met him. It was back in 2001 or 2002. I was just a young kid, and he comes up to me and he's like, "All right, buddy, it's you and me tonight." I was like, "Okay." He goes, "I'm going to tell you," and I use this thing to this day to kids because I'm a firm believer in it. We're 20 foot, if that, away from the crowd. Hit me, because if they don't believe it, then I'm not going to believe it. You know what I mean? Or if I don't believe it, they're not going to believe it, is what he said. He said, "I'm not made of glass. You're not going to break. Hit me safe, but hit me really hard." And that guy proceeded to beat the shit out of me for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was so fun, though. It was so fun because in this business, you know, if you, Will knows exactly what I'm talking about. The more you like somebody, the harder you're going to hit them.
Right.
This has got to be the only business like that, you know? And afterward, like right before the match, like, "Apologies right now. I am sorry." For what? You already know.
Right.
You know, we're proceeding to beat the holy bejesus out of each other for however many people's enjoyment, you know? And that's one of my favorite things about the business. We can do that, and there's no hard feelings. You know, we're not trying to hurt each other, but at the same time, we're beating the shit out of each other. So it's one of those really fun dynamics, and it's the only business like it. It really is. Everywhere I go, one of my favorite things is to wrestle somebody that I've never wrestled before. Somebody I've never met or faced. I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do. That way I can learn, because everybody has their own style, their own movements, and their own timing. And if you're fluid like water, then, you know what I mean, usually you can make somebody look like $1 million, and that's what I've always been about, is trying to make the other guy look fantastic, you know, which in turn makes me look good as well, I guess. But making them look really good is definitely the main point of any match. You know what I mean?
That's true. That is so true. Now, you mentioned that you're short in stature. I won't say what you said, but you mentioned that you're smaller than some of the guys. But honestly,
He's a midget.
Gosh, you move in the ring, and just watching you on video until I saw you in person, I was like, oh, things on the screen are larger than they appear or smaller than they appear. As a smaller guy, how do you know, is there anything you need to overcompensate for when you're fighting bigger opponents, or is it that visual that you're hoping for, and when you go into these matches to kind of, you know, get over even more what you're doing when somebody sees that you're a small guy but you're kicking ass?
Oh yeah, oh definitely. God, I used to love to say, I might be 1.5 foot shorter than you, but I bet you money I can hit a whole lot harder than you. You know what I mean? Or you may hit hard, I bet you I can kick harder. You know what I'm saying? And those are some of my sayings. I used to sell those on T-shirts and crap like that way before the hashtag movement, you know, because I'm old. When most guys are bigger than you, like right now I'm 200 pounds, but I mean I'm 200 pounds at 5'5". I've never been, you know, so strong as I am now because I've been on this crazy workout plan for like 4 or 5 months. The last time I did this, I dropped down to 150 pounds, but now I'm eating so much, I'm staying right around 200. I'll hover, you know, to 190. But I have never been so strong, and I actually look intimidating now as opposed to, you know, 3 years ago. I was 150 pounds soaking wet. I may have had an 8-pack and been shredded up like Bruce Lee, but, I mean, when you go up against a guy such as William Huckaby and you look like that, everybody expects you to get thrown clean through the dadgum rafters, right? You know? And I was lucky. I was also lucky. We're in a time nowadays where the big guys are so much more willing to work with the little guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all, this was a shoot top promo, right?
Yeah, so, let it go. Shoot away. Bang, bang.
Okay. Okay. Back when I first got in the business, it was 1998. I broke out that July from training. I trained for 8 months under a gentleman by the name of Wildfire Kevin Walker. He's a Georgia indie aficionado, I guess, is what you would call him. Never made it big, but he's very well known in the Georgia circuit, right? But after I got trained and got out and started wrestling, the big guys didn't really do anything. Like, shit, you ask a big guy to go to go under on a match, and they would look at me as if the promoter or the shot caller at the time was completely insane. No matter, he was like, there was no possible way I'm going to get beat by this guy. And me being trained to be extremely humble, extremely respectful, kept my mouth shut. But at the same time, you know what I mean? I'm 6 months in. I just won state in collegiate wrestling in my weight class, and I studied martial arts my whole life. Homeboy, I would flat foot kick you right in the head in the side of the temple and knock you out.
Yes, yes.
But I have to be, you know what I mean? And it's changed over the years. Over the years, back then, they would not have let a little guy beat up on them. Even in shot, like, go ahead.
I was going to say, Matt, I was going to ask you because I was going to, that was actually my next question. With you being a legit tough guy, let's just be honest. Collegiate state champion, martial arts specialist and stuff. Like, you're legit badass. Do you really get tired of seeing these guys who they're basically wrestling tough guys? When they say, "Hey, look, you're wrestling Matt Gilbert," he's going over, and they kind of give that look, or they make that little. That they mumble underneath their breath and stuff, or complain, or gripe, or moan. Do you ever just get that chance to say, "Listen, kid, like, you know what? You can go over. You know what? It's fine. Let him go over. I'll just beat the shit out of him for the next 10 minutes."
I'll never forget it. Chief J Eagle used to run this promotion down in South Carolina, and it had a Coliseum-looking feel to it. It had 3 levels.
APW Spartanburg, man. Look, I don't consider you a Southern wrestler unless you've worked for Jay Eagle at least once.
You're damn right. You're damn right. I go in here with this guy and we tag, right? And these 2 big muscular guys walk over and they're like, "Look, man, we've been doing this for about 1.5 years now. Watch out for his clothesline. He just knocked out a dude, and my kick, I just broke a dude's ribs last week." And at the time, I'd been in the business about 4 years, and the guy beside me was a vet and had been in the business about 15. And we just kind of looked at each other, and I looked back at him, and I say, "Yes, sir. We just broke out of training. Dog's been in it about 6 months, and I just got out like 3 months ago. Please take care of us. That's all I'm asking." Well, Dog started the match, wrung this dude's wrist, and brought him over to me. And whenever he tagged me in, I got in and beat the bejesus out of both these dudes. They tried to fight back, but there was nothing they could do. You know what I mean? I go to swing on me, I can take the hit, and then I'm going to ankle pick you and put you on your back. You know, and once I'm on top of you, homeboy, that's my territory. And then they were the heroes. They're heroes there, and they went over on us. And on the way back, Dog looked at me and said, "Man, you didn't let me have the rest of the match." I was like, "No, because I know you were supposed to take heat." And I wasn't about to do that shit. You know, after those boys come up to us, and they were both big guys, about 6'1", 6'2", and wanted to talk like they were going to beat up on us the whole match. It wasn't that fact so much as warning that they'd been breaking people and shit. Like, buddy, you'd be lucky to break me, you know? So that was the only incident, and, Jay Eagle gave us our PO and, told me, said, "Man, I can tell you practice karate or something." I'm like, "Yes, sir, I've done a little bit." And
just a little bit.
Kevin, my trainer's the one that got me the booking. He cussed me out. I took that lashing. afterward because, and Dog heard it. So he took up for me. He was like, the kid's right. Nobody should be beating, should be trying to run roughshod. And you know what I'm saying? That's about the only time I've ever had that type of stuff happen. Other than that, I was always winning and losing didn't matter to me. It never has really. I think that's the big part of it. Like, you can get over without going over. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Now I know our time with you is running very short and stuff. You know, obviously you have to get back to the family and everything. But I want to, we always do this with our guests and stuff. I ask you a couple of questions, and depending on the answers, depends on whether or not A, we like you, or B, if we ask you to come back. So I'm gonna ask you like 3 questions, and then you just kind of, just answer the first thing that comes to your mind. All right?
All right.
Favorite place to go after a show? If you had to choose between one, is it Waffle House or IHOP?
Oh gosh, Waffle House.
Word. See, that's what I'm talking about. See, Georgia people know about IHOP. Okay. Because you're a Georgia-based wrestler, we're gonna do like this. Sheets, Quick Trip, or Wawa?
Oh God, Sheets, hands down. I'm a Sheets fanatic. Love that place.
Word. That's what I'm talking about. And you're riding down the roads after a show. You're by yourself. Radio's on. What's that one song that comes on and stuff that's your guilty pleasure that most people will not know?
Oh gosh, damn it. There used to be a Taylor Swift song that I really liked. If I was alone, I'd put that crap up and roll the windows down. I just can't. The one where like she wears short shorts or some crap like that.
Oh
yes. Now Hucky got my old lady looking at me like I've lost my manhood.
Don't feel bad, man. Look, I like T Swifty as well. You know what I'm saying? T Swizzy is cool with me, bruh.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I said, I know time with you is running short, so this is the part of the interview where we tell you, unlike in a wrestling match, now's the time when you can get your shit in. So let all our fans and listeners become fan and listeners of the Barefoot Baby Killer by telling our listeners where they can follow you on social media and what shows will you be at in the upcoming weeks.
Okay, I'll be at the World Sports Expo this Saturday. They can find me in Atlanta. It's the first time that a professional wrestling event has ever been shown at the World Sports Expo, and I happen to be a part of that. National Syndicate Wrestling will be showcasing that event. Also, you can find me on Instagram. I don't have a Twitter just yet, but that is in the works. Facebook. Follow me. All I ever talk about is positivity and pro wrestling and my babies. I'm going to make my little baby boy an internet star before it's over with. He is absolutely gorgeous. So y'all have a great night, okay? Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for being on. And luckily, your son looks like his mother and has no feet. The only thing he gets from you right now is his height.
Wow.
That's it.
Fortunately, he looks like his mother. So, but thank you, Matt. I will see you in the upcoming weeks and stuff at a couple of shows. But thank you for being a guest of the show, man. We'll see you on down the road.
All right, brother.
All right, bye.
Bye, y'all.
Mika.
Yes.
The barefoot badass Matt Gilbert.
Barefoot badass. I asked a lot of feet question, and it sounds weird, but honestly, super intrigued about that because you guys do so much in the ring, and I've seen people, stomp on toes, step on feet, or whatever. So it was just really interesting for me. I liked him. I've seen him in person a few times here. He's amazing. He's good. He's good people.
I'm so creeped out by the fact of like the people who have a foot fetish wrestling him. It's like I wanted to almost ask him like, hey, has you ever had anybody like specifically request to be booked in a match with you, and it turns out they had a foot fetish? Like, oh God, like, I don't know what I would do if somebody had like some kind of fetish. Like if somebody had like a gut fetish, because I'm a fat guy, for like honey buns. And they just had a thing for like, bellies or guts or whatever, and the person kept trying to rub my stomach. Like I would be completely and totally freaked out.
You're not a real Buddha, as you should be. If somebody did all that, then yes, you should be freaked out, and they should get smacked for it. You and I don't agree on a lot, but I agree with that.
Yes. So Tamika, while you're sitting there drinking your Himalayan water, blessed by Tibetan monk, while you're drinking your Himalayan water, blessed by Tibetan monks, go ahead and tell all our fans and listeners, where will we see Mika Villasette this week?
This week, I will possibly pop up at a place that is about to celebrate a year in their new facility, the WWA4 Training School here in Atlanta, Georgia, run by and head trainer is Mr. A.R. Fox of Lucha Underground fame. So I'm going to check them out on Thursday. Friday, lots of shows happening this weekend. Friday, I may go back out to the house that AJ Styles built, Landmark Arena. There's a show. Saturday, I'm up in the air. And when I say up in the air, I might actually be up in the air. Well, I think it's Friday night, but there is in Connecticut, Malice at the Palace. Battle Club Pro is putting on their second all-female show. I am not scheduled to be there, so I may not necessarily be doing commentary, but if I happen to roll into Connecticut, I may just go ahead and throw some headphones on and lend this gloriously sultry voice to the proceedings in the ring. So that's, tentative, but I can tell you that June 24th, you and I are going to be opposite places at the same time. I'll let you go ahead and talk about your June 24th.
Well, this weekend, first of all, I will be at I'll be having a, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I got a chain match at the
Whoa. A what? Chain match?
Yeah, like a dog collar chain
I'm trying to get people to kill you, but I didn't order this. By all means, tell us about it.
A dog collar chain match, myself versus Virginia Mid-Atlantic veteran Drake Tungsten, somebody who I've looked up to for years. We're having a dog collar chain match for the AIWF World Heavyweight Championship. It will be at the Bland County Relay for Life. So I'm doing, this is the week where I do a good deed, where I give back to the community. As far as the 24th goes, I will be at Mucha Lucha Atlanta. Depending on how things go, I might end up at AWE. I might not. I don't know. They're running very close to each other, and the distance between the two is one started like 5, the other one started like 8. They're like 45 minutes apart, so you never know. I might end up at both shows, but primarily I will be at Mucha Lucha Atlanta and stuff on the 24th. I'm about to say, I know that you're going to be at AWE because you guys do commentary.
I do commentary for both shows. Both shows are running on the same day. There's also PWX happening in North Carolina that same day. I'm going to make a clone and a clone and a clone because I want to be all 3 places at the same time. But I will be at Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment for Cease and Desist the musical. We're putting on at the wonderful location, the Opera Nightclub. So the Opera Nightclub is, of course, a former opera house. We've been in this venue several times. It is a nightclub now. We tear up the dance floor, put down a ring, and then we get in and we tear the roof off the place. So I shall be there on the 24th for sure. Adult show, but family friendly as well. But know that you can bring your that you can purchase your alcoholic beverages, and I plan for all y'all to buy me at least one drink, which means my commentary will be, as the kids say, lit as fuck, y'all.
The kids don't say that. The kids don't say that anymore.
Shut up.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our good friends at the Angry Marks Podcast Network and our sponsors, Indie Customs, all of our friends over there at Behavior Driven and at Pro Wrestling World, and all of our Patreons that we love and support so much, such as David Cook up there in Buffalo, New York.
Thanks, David.
On behalf of our producer, the one, the only C.W. Smith, I am your... stop it, girl. On behalf of my co-host, one half of the world's cutest commentary team, the lover of waffles, the voice of the speech impediment, the lover receiver of all things unsolicited, the Adonis of affection, Mrs. Chicago Win, Mrs. Hashtag What That Mouth Do, Mika Village. I am the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion, the World Wrestling Grand Prix Champion, the disrespectful intellectual, the Southern Gentleman, the Morning Star, the Incredible Huck, the National Treasure and Reality TV Star, the Incredible Huck, Will Huckaby, saying peace out and support
Hey, down. Bye.